Greetings, travelers. Welcome back to Disenthrall. I am Patrick Smith. Today, I have a bone to pick with people that do not like to use labels, especially people that don't like to use labels to describe themselves. This has happened occasionally at our meetups, especially because that's where we interact with a lot of new people or strangers, people that we're not familiar with. So obviously, one of the first conversations that almost always comes up is, well, hey, where do you stand politically? You know, what do you call yourself? What do you label yourself as? And occasionally we get people that show up and they say things like, well, I don't like to use labels. I don't like to use labels to describe myself. I don't like having labels put on me. And so then what always has to happen is that we have to spend 10, 15, 20 minutes like manually parsing through their positions on everything without using the labels for those positions, of course, just using other words that get us to the same conclusions slower and less efficiently. I understand the desire to not want to be lumped in with a collective of a ton of different people when your views might not match up perfectly with the collective or with the definition of that label. I get it. That makes sense. However, all language is labels. That's all words are. A label is just an attachment of concepts to spoken words that we can use to communicate concepts between brains. And granted, most labels, maybe even all labels, are sort of open to this messy interpretation. I say that language is a lossy thought compression algorithm. That means that, we say these words and they float through the air into other people's ears and other brains interpret them in who knows how they're going to interpret them. So there is some risk in using labels. Well, you can interchange the word label with language in almost every sense when we're having this discussion about people that don't like labels. They just don't like language that has definitions that they may or may not agree with. But that's how we communicate. That's the only way we have to communicate ideas and concepts and positions, like where we exist politically or unpolitically, anti-politically, is with labels. And so the challenge is to just, start with a label that closely approximates your position and work from there. You might say, well, I consider myself, mostly a Republican, but I differ in X, Y, and Z areas. Or you might say, I'm a horticulturalist, but I think all tulips should die. I don't know. The point is, without labels, you're handicapping yourself severely. And it's annoying in conversations with people that are like, don't label me, bro. Well, that means don't describe you, bro. That means we can't communicate about what you believe and what you think and what you where you stand on any issues. We just can't communicate. If we're not going to use labels, we can't communicate. So I would just ask people to just generally understand that labels are language and we have to use them to communicate efficiently, maybe even at all. Find labels that are close to you and find ways of quickly saying, well, we can start here, but I'm not really there. Or I'm kind of close to here, but here's where I differ. That's fine. That's normal. That's expected. But that is the limitation of language. That's the limitation of our ability to communicate. So that's my rant on labels. Have a good day.
Now, we all know that this takes time, which we all know is money. And to buy all the equipment costs money, which we all know is money. So basically, the Disenthrall channel has been money squared in input from us. So if you want to do your part and take the load off of our shoulders, consider going to patreon.com/disenthrall to donate.